Welcome back and thank you for tuning in to my vlog. It's always a privilege to have people to share time with who want to hear the words that I have to say. Sometimes when I hear from those of you who are friends and family and you want me to make new videos, it inspires me to think about what's motivated me and kind of what's kept me going over the last few months. Since it's coming to the end of the year and so many changes always happen at the end of the year, you just can't wrap up anything old without starting something new. And there have been lots of new beginnings, even in my own life. It really makes me think about the Wizard of Oz. I know we're all familiar with the Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy has a storm in her life. Suddenly, everything's haywire. Her house is spinning, her mind is whirling, and she ends up in a deep sleep where she wakes up in a land of little people. Well, she feels out of sorts, and all she wants to do, she thinks, is find her way home. All she thinks she needs is the love of her family, and she knows that if she can just make it home, everything will be perfect. What do the little people tell her to do? Yep, they tell her, follow the yellow brick road. And what does she do? She finds that tiny little beginning and she follows the golden path. In life, there are so many paths that we can take. Every day we have a choice about which way we're going to go. And I can be honest and say that there are times where I think I very well may have taken a wrong turn, okay? How many of us have taken a wrong turn? There are even times where along the path we get completely roadblocked. I remember about 3 years ago, right after I was diagnosed with lupus, I came home from the hospital to my cat, Casimir. The entire time I was in the hospital, there was never once that Casimir crossed my mind. But when I came home, he missed me so dearly, he barely left my side. For the next 6 months, we were really almost inseparable. He laid on my bed as I recovered. And I remember so many nights that it was just he and I laying there watching TV or just kind of hanging out. Even as I would nap, he would nap with me. Well, I lost him really tragically to an aneurysm about 6 months after I got out of the hospital. In the path of life, we never know when we're going to experience grief or loss. And at that time, I really thought it was the end of my world. I was grieving. I remember even talking to my dad and he said, Melanie, I know that Casimir was more than a pet to you. He was really your friend and I hope that you can get another pet to replace him. Well, out of that grief, I found Oreo, who was my very first Shih Tzu. As I'm recording this video, I see Oreo looking at me as I say his name. And it warms my heart in the most special of ways that I have become as endeared to him as he is to me. Out of the grief of losing Casimir, I found a passion for Shih Tzus, that I loved the breed, that I loved Oreo not only for his temperament, but the fact that he was hypoallergenic, he didn't shed, he didn't need any exercise. And here I am today, I'm a Shih Tzu breeder. I breed AKC registered champion bloodline Shih Tzus for therapy pets and emotional support animals. And this is a path that I wouldn't have chosen to take. In my mind, all I wanted was to keep Casimir and to have him with me all of the years to follow. When losing him, although it brought me great pain, opened the door for me to become a dog breeder. Here I am now with a business that my family enjoys. It's a livelihood that never seems like work. When I take my dogs with me to see my clients, they're happy to see the dogs, and it reminds me of how I felt when I had Casimir. I give you that story to say that on the yellow brick road of life, we're always going to have stumbling blocks. Will we cry? Absolutely. What if the joy and pain, like I've said previously, are the same emotion? What if it's our perspective that determines which one it is? Had I never lost Casimir, I wouldn't be where I am today, in a house full of beautiful Shih Tzus that are going to be bred so that other people can have that same joy and endearment that I had with Casimir. Just thinking about the yellow brick road of life and how, just like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, we're going to meet some scragglers along the way. Who hasn't met a scraggler along the way that maybe will be there for part of our journey and maybe not even make the whole journey with us? But in The Wizard of Oz, if you remember, when Dorothy finally finds the wizard, or if you're watching The Wiz, she realizes that everything she's needed, she's had with her right in her heart on her entire journey. She even finds out that the wizard, yep, he's all smoke and mirrors. The very person that she thought she could get help from ends up needing her help even more. Together, when they get on that hot air balloon, she helps him find home as she goes home. And when she wakes up, she realizes that her ordinary life on the farm was all she really wanted. How many of us are on a journey that we think is taking us somewhere when it's the journey itself that we're meant to enjoy? Where every day of our life is that beautiful gift that if we unwrap it with the right smile on our face, with the right perspective, that we find that path that we're meant to take. What if every day is that next golden step on the journey, that we get the opportunity to realize that the journey is the golden opportunity that we're waiting for? What if we decide not to even wait? What if we decide to celebrate every single day and be grateful from the bottom of our hearts just to have that opportunity? I think if we make those choices, we give ourselves more than we could ever find looking and searching and digging. We give ourselves when we realize that our potential isn't based on where we're going, but it's right here, that the golden path we're on is right beneath our very toes, that where we're going is exactly where we're already meant to be. I hope that as you look at this Monday, the beginning of a brand new week, even as we approach the end of the night, that you will think about the new start that tomorrow will be. And that just like Oreo barking, you'll think about every time that you've had pain, and later on, even if it took years, that you've decided to be happy because you see that the path you were on was exactly where you were meant to be. And that even though we feel pain and sadness, that we'll be grateful for it because we know it's an invaluable part of the golden path that we were meant to travel. Thank you again for tuning in and sharing your time with me, because time is our most valuable resource, and I definitely appreciate any time that you've chosen to give me tonight. And in the future, if you could like my videos and subscribe, it would mean the world to me. I look forward to sharing with you in the near future. Good night.